Hello, today I'm talking with you about negative space. So, well, almost all compositions have some negative space, unless you're extremely zoomed in on a positive object. Some have more interesting negative spaces than others. For instance, I love this kind of oblong circular shape inside the scissors. I opened them up so that they would have more dynamic negative space. The pliers definitely have an interesting shape as well. So these are all positive objects, and I set them on a piece of paper so that we could see them and kind of observe their negative space in relationship to the frame. So the frame is a really big part of any composition. Hopefully you can see. So when I do a composition sketch, I always start by sketching out the frame. And so the big thing about a composition sketch is that it's tiny, okay? So, and then from there, you can start to sort of plot in your negative shapes. And with a composition sketch, you should not be too worried about making everything just like super accurate. So in a way, it's kind of like a contour drawing at this phase. Right, so that's a little bit wonky. But you can tell right away that I'm just starting to plot out my composition so that I can see it. And so you're going to notice that as I'm drawing this, I'm overlapping some of my positive objects as I see them. And keep in mind the way that my eye views these, it's different from the way that you're seeing them head on. Right, so then I'm like, oh yes, I've got to get that little bump in there for the negative space. And so what that's going to mean is that I'm going to go back through and I'm going to end up probably doing a little bit of erasing inside some of those positive shapes. Right, but so this could be my rough sketch. So then I would go back through and I take out any indicators of the interior of these objects. And then I can really quickly just sort of say, okay, what's this composition like? Using my graphite stick to help and darken up those spaces where I do not have the objects. In other words, the negative space. So negative space is really a weird thing, right? We don't think about it very much, but it turns out that it is so helpful in terms of making an interesting composition. And so as soon as I've just sort of shaded around those objects, using my graphite stick because it's really quick, it's just big and rough. And remember, with a composition sketch, we're not too worried about things. Right, I'm maybe gonna go in and just darken up just a bit by my objects so that I can see their silhouette a little bit more clearly. I'm not worrying too much. Okay, so that could be like composition number one. And then I would go and I would take my objects and I would say, how can I make this maybe just like a little bit more interesting? So right away I can tell the way that I drew this was a little bit wonky. Like I think that the scissor top should have been up a little bit higher. This part should have been down a little bit more. But I can just try making like a new composition, see what I'm most into. Ooh, maybe we can create something where it'll feel like there's a lot of tension kind of between these. Maybe the up and down composition isn't the most interesting. Maybe we do something with a diagonal and then let the scissors go this way. And by the way, I don't love scissors. So I think the problem with this composition is it'd be very good if it was square, but we have this whole unoccupied area down here. So maybe just to shake things up, I would put in my graphite pencil.